Okay, so you all know that that's happening. All right, and go ahead, I can close this now. All right. Well, welcome everybody. I am so happy and honored that you joined me today. I really love teaching. I love sharing the work that I do. And when people show up, I'm just thrilled. So I want to explain the pink hair, because if you have seen any other videos or you saw my bio and any of the promo, like this was for a party that my husband and I hosted in early December, a pink party. It's like a dress up dance party that we hosted for like 10 years. And then we didn't have it for 3 years until this year again. And I was so thrilled. I decided to, for the first time in my life, bleach and dye my hair. And it was way brighter. It was neon. It wasn't exactly the color I was going for. So it's starting to grow out. And so you'll be able to, if you stay with me into the future, you'll see it start growing out. And it's like, if you have hair, you should have fun with it. So it's not always like this. And okay. So I'm curious to start out, just what brought you here today? Was it any of, the promo material I sent out had some, provocative questions like, are you a woman who tends to give too much and not really leave anything for yourself? Or are you, does self-doubt impact your relationships? Or are you stuck in painful thought loops? Those were like the three things, if any of those like struck you, or if there's another reason that someone told you to be here. I'd be curious to know what brought you here. And if you're comfortable talking, that's great. I love engagement. Or if you want to just type it in the chat, that would be great.
Well, I'll jump in.
Great.
This is Shelley. Hi, Spider.
Hi, Shelley.
It's been an issue you've helped me with in the past, and I haven't been terribly successful. So, and it's my relationship with my daughter.
Okay.
So, we raise, at least in my situation, my husband and I raised two very strong-headed children, and they're very independent and they're very successful and all the things you want. But there's a flip side to that too. So I'd like to be able to work on that relationship.
Great. Beautiful. Thank you. Anybody else?
I can go. I'm from Portland too, and I saw your post. And I'm like, that looks interesting. And then it came to me 3 times. So I'm like, okay, this is it. in like, a mutual friend had on her post said, she's done anyway, it was yes, this is good. And then this morning when I was flipping through, I saw your tea bag thing. I'm like, okay, this is the 3rd time and what I'm actually afraid, it's like because I boxed myself in, and it's like now like bringing myself out and being accountable and like I think I've been in this space and then I for so long that it's like there is a different life out there. And then I read through your webpage and stuff, and ever since I've like signed up for it this morning at like 8 o'clock, because it took me like another hour to like, okay, I'll do it. I've just been processing and crying, so I feel like I am in the right place.
Thank you for showing up, Lisa. What an honor and a pleasure. And thank you for pushing through the discomfort, because that's a big part of what we need to do to move forward. It's
right.
Let's just everybody take a deep breath for this moment. And with Lisa, that facing some of our challenges is not comfortable. It's never comfortable, but there's so much reward, so much reward. And I'm so, so happy for you that you showed up. And I really hope that you get something out of this morning. And I'll be talking about this a little later, but I'm going to be offering another training in about 2 weeks. A little longer one. So this today is going to be maybe a little more general surface. I mean, it's hard for me to kind of stay totally surface, but you know, kind of the edges of the iceberg. We'll put it that way. And I hope it's provocative, but I've got so much more to offer. And but I really hope you all get something out of today. And thank you again, Lisa, for sharing that vulnerability. I'll talk about that. When I get talking, sometimes I get a little frog in my throat. And so I have warm drinks here to move that through. So someone else wrote, interested in learning new skills or being better at doing. Susan, great, thank you. Anybody else want to share what brought them here today?
I'm January, and I have seen Spider for quite a while and have gotten so much out of it. And I'm going through something recently where I'm realizing how much I need to focus on me and listen to myself. And so everything around me keeps like, you know, kind of popping up to remind me of that. And this email came in and it made me think, yeah, that can't hurt to go to that and to support Spider and see what she's doing. And so that's why I'm here.
Thank you so much for showing up, honey. Right. And a lot of aspects of our relationships, you know, with our spouses, our children, our colleagues, even strangers, you know, are affected by what's going on inside of us. And that's, you know, I'm not going to talk too much about, well, what does so-and-so say to you, you know, and how do you respond? We're going to be really talking about what's going on inside of you. So anybody else want to share? Laura? And Linda, sure, everyone will get a chance. Great.
I really resonated with the giving too much aspect of the 3 questions. And I also, when I saw that come up on your page, I was like, what the heck? I had no idea you were doing this. So I was just excited to see your face and see what all you're up to.
Great.
And participate in something that, you know, looks obviously positive and moving in a great direction for women.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much for showing up. It's good to see you. And Linda?
Hello, everybody. I'm Linda Kay. I live in England, and actually I'm in the process of living almost full-time in Corfu, Greece. My husband and I have a permaculture project there that we've been working on for over a decade. And we're at that stage now where we're bringing in community. And of course, relationships are in an alchemical state in a new project like this. I always feel that relationship skills are a never-ending polishing process. I saw this program being offered on Gwen Cody's Facebook. We're friends, and I get a lot of her feed. And I was like, oh my gosh, Spider. I know Spider. I lived in Portland for many years, and I came to the UK in 2010. So I've been here for a while. And yeah, so it was just nice to see your name and to see that you're doing this really cool thing. And I was already surprised by your hair when I saw the picture of you on the brochure, that it was super short. And now that it's pink, I'm like, oh my gosh, Spider, chameleon woman. So yeah, so I'm excited. I think the biggest thing that's missing for me in my life, really since I moved to England, because I do a lot of traveling and a fair amount of that is around work and projects. that sacred mirror of community is something that I really miss. And I've been able to get a lot of it online, but sporadically. So I'm always looking for a group that I can participate in with. So I didn't even know, Spider, really what you're offering, but it just resonated with me, and it was just the right time, and I had this hour free. And so I'm really excited to hear more about what you're doing and to see if it's something that I'll carry on with.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for your curiosity and really all of your curiosities. That's what drives moving forward, right? Like Lisa said, like there's this vulnerability, but there's when our curiosity is bigger, then we step into things. And thank you, Linda, for your spontaneity. I'll thank Gwen and yeah, holding containers for community and how we. I loved what you said about the sacred mirror, that we're always affecting each other on subconscious levels in ways that we just can't. I mean, we can't become aware of all of it, but we can become aware of a lot of it. And when we have tools, often, we go in, we have conflicts, or we show up in ways that we're not happy about, or we don't feel good about because we don't know what to do. We don't know what else to do. We're on this autopilot. We're reacting from our programming. I don't know if how many of you are in the Woman Rising group and have been watching my Thoughtful Thursdays, but I've been working with this map a lot that I'll bring up a little later. But what shows up in our life really, how we show up in our life really has a lot to do with our early programming and conditioning and learning. I mean, I know that sounds obvious, but it's all humming in the background, and we can become more and more aware of it and learn our patterns and learn to identify them and learn to, like, the first thing we're going to talk about today is the pause. So without further ado, before I get into the meat, I want to just talk about the lay of the land a little bit. And first saying that, I'm loving that you all engage. This is what I love. I love hearing what you have to say, and and that we can riff off of each other. Just got some splashback. So to create a safe container where we are all really holding each other's hearts, that, like I said earlier, growth edge is uncomfortable. This is vulnerable. This can feel really, really vulnerable. And to have an agreement that what's talked about in the group stays in the group, and that we really are holding each other's hearts in a sacred place, like we're all china cups and in that vulnerability. So just raise your hand, because we want everyone to feel comfortable to participate. So agreeing to hold, not just me holding it, but we're all holding that. Thank you, Susan, at creating this safe container. I'm recording now, and I was thinking that at the end, I'll open it up for questions and, aha moments or takeaways. And I thought I would turn the recording off at that point, just so that, people really felt free if there was any hesitation of just vulnerability, that I would do that. But feel free to, if you have a question while I'm talking, raise your hand. I may not, or, there's a reaction icon. Let's see, I may go back and forth between speaker view, because it's better on Oh, wait, I'm not streaming, so that doesn't matter. Well, anyway, sorry, more text stuff. Can I see everybody? No, I can't see everybody when I have it in speaker view. So I'm just going to keep it on gallery view. Okay. So that if someone does raise their hand, I can see. And if it's a quick question, I will answer it. If it feels like it's a bigger topic that's taking us off the main thread, I'll save it till the end. Okay. I think that's it. Yeah, well, we're going to cover the pause. I'm going to talk about in a minute, it being such a powerful tool. I'm going to be talking about thoughts and feelings and how they can start recycling and how to put a wrench in that cycle with the pause. And then I'm going to talk about support and the need, how tricky our minds are and how important it is to get support to try to go to these deeper places. You're all wise women with a lot of experience, and there's some people on the call that I've worked with in the past, and so you may hear things that either I've said before or you've studied things, read things, and I invite you to approach this class with a beginner's mind, with an open mind, that we can hear things and we can keep them, above the neck. We can take it in as, intellectual understanding, but it takes a lot of repetition and sitting with things to have it go deeper into the body, into your cellular structure, and to really, when we experience something, we really learn it. So if you've heard anything before, be like, yeah, right. This is, or maybe it's from a slightly different perspective. We can, like Lisa said, it came to me 3 times. Most of my biggest transformations have happened when I've heard something from like 3 different aspects of my life. There's something about 3 that's really powerful. So letting it in a new way. So I wanted to share just a little bit about me, because there's so many more interesting things to talk about. But I'm the, or in case you didn't read my bio, I'm the founder of Conscious Freedom Coaching, and I've been working with, actually I do work with men, but the Woman Rising and these trainings, I'm really wanting to create a safe space for women. So these trainings are just with women, but I've been working with people, helping them reach deeper levels of happiness and life satisfaction for 15 years. I want to take a moment to honor my teachers that have imbued such wisdom and support and supported my transformation, that it's such an honor to be able to take what I've learned and be able to share it. And there's probably some of you don't know that I've also been a body worker for 25 years, focusing mostly on shiatsu, which is a very energetic form of body work, and other modalities. So the work that I do is very body centered and somatic. So that body-mind integration is really important. And that leads right into where I want to start is with a body centering meditation. So I invite you to get comfortable. If you're not, I'm gonna wiggle out some of my little nervousness. And I call this meditation making space for yourself. And take a couple deep breaths. And if you want to close your eyes, you don't have to. It's sometimes be easier to imagine what I'm saying with eyes closed, but And just feel your state of being at this moment. Are you able to take a full deep breath? Is there some restriction? Is there any tightness you sense in your body? Feel free to move around, stand up, even walk to connect, to really connect with your body. Maybe you want to feel your butt solidly on the chair or your feet on the floor. Oops. Taking breaths with longer exhales is often very calming, centering and grounding. Now I'm going to invite you to sense. Now we got into our body a little bit. And we have our physical body, and we have our energy body, our chi or ki body that resonates out 6 to 8 feet in all directions. And if you've never heard that before, or you don't believe it, or you've never felt it, it's okay. Again, I just invite you to follow as you wish, or you don't have to. But the invitation is to imagine, even just imagine that you have an energy body that radiates out into the world. And it's strongest 6 to 8 feet from your physical body. And we talk about, like how much energy we give out. We're always, maybe not always if you have a good meditation practice or other self-care routines, you might have some habits to carve out that time for yourself. But this will be a tool for you to imagine out there at the edge of your strong key body that there's a bubble, a little thin membrane where you can put all the external stimulus, your to-do list, your responsibilities, the conversations and things you're going to do with people later. Just put that outside the bubble and just be with yourself for the next couple minutes. Filling up your own bubble with your own life force energy. Maybe take a moment to sense the edge of the bubble, sense if there's any leaks in that bubble, especially behind you or below you or above the top of your head. And if you sense some leaks, just imagine patching it up. Taking a few more breaths. And finally, I want to invite you to really notice what it feels like to abide in your own bubble. And if there's anything, any message that yourself wants to say to you. Taking a couple more breaths, savoring this moment with yourself. And then coming back to the group. And if you feel like it, write in the chat, or if you want to speak, just what it felt like to be in your own bubble for a moment. And if there was a message that yourself had to say to yourself with the invitation, yeah, feel free to share that or write it in the chat. And someone asked how long we'll be on the call, for about another hour. And just stay as long as you wish and can. Anybody want to share? It's okay if not. Okay.
I just felt like when I imagine this energy and this membrane, it just feels really warm and loving towards myself, and a lot of like, I don't know. I think a lot of times the energy is always just going out, and it just feels nice to imagine it kind of enclosed around me and sort of like bouncing off that edge and coming back to myself. And I don't know, just felt really good. And I think that I'm gonna start doing this meditation, thinking it that way daily, because it just really seems to, like, I don't know, fill me and make me feel better. And I didn't really get a message, but well, I said I did. It was just I love you to myself. So.
Thank you, January. Thank you. Yeah, someone wrote, the bubble self said, thank you, this is good. Yeah. So this can be, if you can remember it. If you don't remember it, feel free to message me sometime, in the group or through Messenger, or you should have my email now, and I'd be happy to make a recording for you. In this busy life, like when all the energy is going out and you're feeling overwhelmed, this could be a really healthy practice to even take 3 minutes to, okay, here's me again. Yes, I exist. Just and there's more to it, of course, but this is just like one tip of the iceberg tool for you. So, all right. And paying attention to how you feel is such a very important practice. And it's the first step in putting yourself into the equation of your life, is paying attention to how you feel. And I'll be talking more about that a little later, but that's how it relates to, the titles, the challenges you might be facing that brought you here. So next, we'll get into more of the meat. And I'm going to drop a quote into the chat. So Susan, oh, sorry, I wasn't going to say names. Okay, I put. What's going on here? Oh, have to hit return, right? There we go. Sorry. Susan asked, how far out is your spirit energy? Do you mean like this key body? Well, if you mean like the key body, so beyond that 6 to 8 feet is then where we, that's sort of the interface where we kind of engage with the rest of existence. There's not really separation.
So you're saying our energy goes around our body by out 6 to 8 feet,
Yes,
above and below and around?
in all directions. in
Huh.
all
I just didn't know it went out that far. But it's great for everybody to know that people come into your energy and can suck that out if they're not aware of where their energy boundaries are. So thanks for bringing that to people's attention.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking. So this quote, between stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. And that's a quote by, how many of you have heard that quote before? Okay, yeah, it was written by Viktor Frankl, who was a psychiatrist who ended up in Auschwitz. And he wrote a book called, he's written other books, but one really powerful, difficult book is called Man's Search for Meaning. And he was able to observe what people's state of being and their state of minds, what helped them survive, like who survived more easily. And this is a really powerful quote because, and I even have a little graphic here, that stimulus is our reactions, that basically between our reactions and our response, there's a space. Often we don't feel that space, or we don't even know that space is there because our reactions are so fast. They come from our wiring. They come from our subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind works, depending on what expert you talk to, 50 to 500,000 times faster than our conscious mind. So we have to slow things down to be able to enter that space where our power to choose exists. So that's why learning how to pause, we have to learn how to pause to be able to enter that space, to be able to choose. We can't really shift anything if we're in reaction. If we're in reaction, we're just, we're in emotional reactivity. We're running beliefs about ourselves and the other person in the world that is just like, we're right. There's no other way. You're wrong and I'm right. And listen to me. You don't get very far because then that stimulates, the other person's defenses, and then you're like, and I mean, it's so, it's okay to have, we want to feel everything and we have our reactions, but we also want to have tools to be able to be like, to understand, oh yeah, right. We're both in reaction. Nothing positive, nothing productive is going to happen at this moment. So learning how to pause takes you out of that paradigm and then into the paradigm to choose, well, how can I show up differently at this moment? How do I want to show up at this moment? So sounds simple. It is simple, but it isn't always easy, and it takes practice. So the best way that I can explain this, and it goes back to why it's so important to kind of be in touch with your body and how you're feeling in your body, is that the pause happens when you notice something has changed in your being, in your body, in your energy, in the sensations in your body. So like you might be, one moment you're fine, having a good day. And then someone says something, you're relaxed, you're just, I feel like neutral is in the positive, if we've got this, barometer, that neutral is even a little tipped into the positive because we're not feeling bad. There's nothing wrong. We're not feeling challenged. There's no difficulties, so even neutral, like you're going along with your day and then someone says something to you, or, someone says something to you, you read something, you have a thought, and I'll tell a story about my own experience a little later. A thought just pops into your mind, and all of a sudden you're tense, you're feeling angry or sad, or you feel a little like adrenaline-y, or you feel like gut punched. Like something happened, or you all of a sudden start recycling, perseverating a conversation you had, a difficult conversation you had a few days ago. The key to pausing is noticing that something has changed. So I want to give you an example, like, well, how many of you can relate to that? Like you're fine one moment and then, right, okay. Sometimes what happens is that we might go hours, we might go days feeling that, perseverating those thoughts. The longer you're in that state of being, you're dumping stress hormones into your body. Then someone else says something like you're still running that trigger a little bit, and then you get into another situation that's difficult, and now you're running two triggers, and you're even more tense. Maybe you start not being able to sleep at night. Like, okay, I don't want to start amping up feeling stress for everybody, but my point being is that the key is the sooner you can find your pause and interrupt that, the better it will serve you. The better you will be able to get into that space of being able to make a different choice and respond to your life more by choice and more consciously. So this is a vast topic that takes a lot of practice. But the first step that I give my clients that I'm working with is this practice of noticing. I might say, in the beginning, like, you use a timer, set a timer for, 2 or 3 times a day, just to check in. Just to check in. Where have my thoughts been? How do I feel in my body? Wow, am I angry because of something that happened yesterday? So just notice. We're not going to do anything about it. I'm not going to give you any tools to do anything about it today. But we can't change anything unless we notice it. And as we're noticing, we also start to be able to see patterns. And that pattern, getting to know your patterns it's really, really valuable. You know, we can be curious, how is it, excuse me. How is it that some people react to some things pretty strongly and some people don't react hardly at all or not at all? I want you to sit with that question, take that question away with you today and think about that. It's because we're all wired differently. We all have different life experience, different traumas, different challenges that have happened to us. And those go into us and creates how we show up in our life. So let's do another quick check-in, because we're practicing, you know, I'm inviting you to practice this. Let's practice it right now. Like, again, notice you're really focused right now. So, you know, you might not have like perseverating thoughts, but I don't know, they can be really powerful. You know, maybe something really challenging happened yesterday and you can't shake it. So, excuse me, if that's the case, just notice it. So we'll just sit for a few, not even a minute. Okay. No, that's really quick, but anybody want to share, you know, if there's anything, you know, positive or negative, you know, noticing that you're feeling good is really good too. We don't do that enough.
Spider, I think learning to pause is calming. I mean, I think it just kind of slows, for me, slows me down a bit to really process what I want from the interaction as well. So how I respond will hopefully lead me there.
Excellent. Excellent.
I notice when I avoid pausing, it's usually because there's a discomfort in having to feel. So something will happen, or so there's a tension in pausing that can sometimes become an avoidance of wanting to pause. Like if I just make a decision, then I've moved through that moment. I've moved through time, space. And it's about a 50-50 chance that it'll be good choice or not so good choice. But the pausing is always evolutionary in my experience of it. There's an evolutionary opportunity. And sometimes that's uncomfortable because there's a tension in not knowing. For me, that can become avoidance, which then will encourage me to react rather than respond. So
Thank you. Thank you. That's everything Linda just said is what, like, it's simple, but not easy. And I'm not going to go into it in this training, but right, there's resistance that comes up. There's discomfort. There's this speed with which our mind works that we have to like catch up to. But I still, I invite you to practice it and learn more. And it does get easier. It can become, with time and practice, it can become more reflexive, more your default mode. And that's where, whoa, you gain so much control and choice in your life. It's profound. Like Linda said, it's completely evolutionary and transformative. January.
I just felt like I wanted to say that I have been, partly for me, like doing basic habits to keep myself healthy help with my mind as well. And I have been eating well and feeling pretty good lately. And I have noticed that it's easier to, I also have been practicing this for a long time, but I've had just yesterday, I had thoughts come up that I just were old fights with someone or something, and it would come up and I just was like, nope, no thanks, and just pushed it away. Like I could kind of control it, or, in the moment when something's happening with my son or my husband, it's just like it's getting easier to pause and take that time and react in a different way. And I don't know, just what you're saying, like I am experiencing that, and it's great.
Awesome. I'm happy for you. And also like what Linda said is that when we don't, we are often reacting in ways that don't serve us. And so we're able to, like slow it down and really enter a paradigm where we're communicating in ways that serve us and everybody. So start noticing, set the timer. There's the invitation to start practicing that. And there's, like I said, much more around that. So I want to honor everybody. We've been on for almost an hour. If anyone needs a bio break or to stretch, I'm happy to take like a 3-minute break. Anybody need to pause? Okay, go for it. Let's see. I'm gonna grab my phone and set a timer so I don't get whoops for like 3 minutes. Maybe I'll take a quick break too. All right, so the next thing I wanted to talk about is these thought and feeling cycles. I haven't seen one in a while, but in the past, I've seen a bumper sticker that says, "Don't believe everything you think." Has anyone seen that? Ever seen that? And I always laugh because it's very true. But the question is, how do you actually do that? How do you not believe everything you think? Well, I teach that. I can help you learn how to do that. So it kind of comes back to my map that we have. Here are the thoughts and the feelings. So the map, I didn't, here, let me talk through that a little bit, is that our early conditioning, our early learning, our programming creates, this is very young. We have, like up until 10 or 12 years old, we're sponges, we're learning how to be human beings. And then it kind of you know, and it creates our beliefs about ourselves, our beliefs about the world, who we are, who other people are. And this dotted line here is showing that, you know, after about 10, 12 years old, we stop being such sponges, and the flow, the interface between our conscious and our unconscious sort of shuts down some, and it's harder to access. We're not inputting as much information, and this is also like what we learn. What's above the line is everything we learn. Like, you know, you don't want to have to pull out your driver's ed manual every time you get in the car. You know, it goes deep, and we don't really think about it. It becomes how we drive a car, how we tie our shoe becomes reflexive. And our beliefs also become reflexive, and our beliefs motivate our thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and choices. And our thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and choices create the results that show up in our lives. It really, this is like life happens here based on what we think and feel and choose and how we behave. So it's not, the beliefs are kind of not accessible. And so we use our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors as a guidepost, as a pointer. We kind of work backwards. So what's showing up in my life? Well, you know, well, how am I thinking and feeling about my life? You know, we kind of work backwards, you know, to get to our beliefs, and then we pull them into consciousness. But and that's where we can start changing them. But I'm not going to talk that much about beliefs today. That will be, you know, in future trainings. But I did want to talk about the thoughts and the feelings and the recycling of thoughts and feelings. And I'm going to draw something for you. So we can start with a thought, and then that thought can trigger feeling. And then so then we're in that thought feeling loop. And then after a while, you know, believe it or not, those feelings get their own momentum, and they can start feeding us thoughts. And we get stuck in this thought, you know, thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking. And pretty soon we are ending up living in one ginormous illusion. I'll give you an example. If you're not following me, you call a friend, and wait, I'll put down my clipboard. I was ready for that. And they don't call you back. And this is like, you know, a good friend, and they don't call you back. And you're wondering, then you start wondering, you know, maybe you're a little sad. I wonder why she didn't call me back. And then you start thinking, did I say something wrong? Are they mad at me? Can anyone relate? You know, like you go into a story and start, you know, thinking, and then you start feeling, you know, maybe bad about yourself and sad. And oh, someone is joining us. Okay. Hang on. Hi, Allie.
Hello.
Hi, we've been going for a while, so I'm going to just keep going.
Yep.
But nice to see you. So, and then, you know, and like maybe it's been 2 days that your friend hasn't called you back, and you're really starting to feel a little, you know, dejected, like, And then you find out that, you know, they call you back maybe on day 3, and they had gone out of town unexpectedly, maybe backpacking in the wilderness, didn't have, you know, cell service or whatever. Like it had nothing to do with you, is the point. But you have just spent, you know, 2 days being in an illusion that was fed to you by your own thought feeling cycle. So if you can, you know, it's a very simple example, but if you can relate to that, that's what I'm talking about. Raise your hand if this has never happened to you. Okay, good. I was trying to trick you. So I'm going to show you a little graphic here that I like to use with my clients. So like, let's see how to do this. So the thinking and feeling just is like this loop. It's this cycle, this treadmill, hamster cage that you're going around and around and around. And the important thing is, oops. They're supposed to look like wrenches, but they end up looking like dog bones. I'm not a very good drawer. The goal is to try to put a wrench in this cycle with the pause. The pause stops this and takes you out of that illusion. You're creating a reality that may or may not be true. Your mind wants to believe it's fact, but it may not be true. And so to interrupt it is where, like that Viktor Frankl quote, where you're able to then step out of that paradigm and step into like this present moment. Chances are in that thought feeling cycle, you're in the past or in the present. The future. So the pause also helps you sink into this moment and start being able to tell yourself the truth. And it's efficient. You stop losing energy over perseverating of, what might be going on with your friend when really they were just out of town. I think I didn't mention this before, that reaction is unconscious and response is conscious. So we've been talking a lot about this space and now interrupting those thought and feeling cycles. Can anybody share a time, an experience they've had when you've been in that space? Now, Linda mentioned it earlier. Lisa.
Well, when you were saying that, it reminded me when my daughter was younger and, she'd get upset or we'd be in a fight about something and she'd, stomp off to her room and slam her door and we'd both be upset. And I'm like, okay, this needs to, we both need time. And then, I'll, approach her, in a half an hour or something. And it was just knowing, it took a while to realize like, okay, this is her reaction. She gets really upset and explodes. And then and she needs to do that because that's how she reacts. And then we can talk. So, but trying to talk to somebody when they're in that reactive emotions is like you can't. You just beat it. So that was I've experienced with yes, we need a pause.
Excellent. Yeah, excellent. And then you had the experience of being able to come back
Mm-hmm.
and talk. So that is, one like little tool. Again, a lot of these things are simple. They're not always easy, but if you are right in an argument with somebody, one of the best things you could say is, I think I need a timeout because I'm having a reaction. You might say, I don't even know what's going on with me. I'm just feeling angry. And I know that nothing good is going to come out of this conversation when I'm in this state. So I need to take, you could say a timeout. I need to take a pause. And in the future, or with my clients, I teach, well, what you can do then when you're in that pause, but even just stopping is helpful and not, no longer engaging. Anybody else want to share? Thank you, Lisa. Anyone else want to share We'll take one more because I want to make sure we have time at the end for questions. One more person maybe want to share their experience of being in the space. Oh, and what I wanted to say to Lisa too was, or all of us, we're learning from each other, is one of my teachers would say, memorize this feeling. Like, it's a tool, it's a powerful action to take. Yeah, when you're in an argument with someone, and when you or give yourself a pat on the back, like, yay, I did that, like even touching yourself, goes into the body more deeply, that congratulations, I did that. That was a good thing. It shifted the energy. Okay, we're gonna move on. And I want to start out with a story. I want to move on to the support part. And oh, that was January that left. Okay. So let's see. I can't even exactly remember what year it was. Maybe 2004. And I had been working with my mentor for a few months, and we had been doing these practices. She had, was having me practice the noticing. I was probably using a timer, and sort of explaining what our mind does to us, what our mind brings us. That, I think I said earlier that you could be, having just had an interaction with somebody that triggers you, or maybe just a thought shows up in your own mind, and all of a sudden you're perseverating, or your, excuse me, your mood changes. And I went to a party. It was a May Day party. And I was there with my daughter. There was, it was my community of friends. There was a potluck and music and a maypole dance. And I was having a grand old time, really happy. And then all of a sudden, this thought came to me. I had gone through a breakup, a difficult breakup, about 3 months before that. I started working with her after this breakup. And this thought trickled in that said, wouldn't it be better though if you were here with a sweetie? And it kind of it took me, and it pulled me down this drain. It kept circulating to where all of a sudden I was in tears, feeling really sad, feeling lonely, feeling not good enough. Why don't things ever work out the way I want? But then all of a sudden, it was like I saw it, I noticed it. I noticed that I went from one state of being to suddenly being in this other state of being, because I had been practicing noticing. And it was really an awakening. It was a moment where I woke up out of a dream, where I could see my mind, what my mind had given me to just reinforce some beliefs about myself. And I was shocked. And the next moment I was giggling. I was laughing because I could see it in real time, how it happened. There was nothing, and that it was all self-generated. It wasn't even anything someone said to me. That when we have these habits and beliefs about ourselves of not good enough or unlovable, that they will find a way. Deprivation. It was depriving me of, this thought was depriving me of enjoying this time. And I guess the point is that I could not have gotten to that place. And for me, there was almost no turning back. Like the noticing became so much easier after that. And it's like this light bulb went on. And anytime I went from feeling one way to feeling another way, it's like, what just happened here? And that's what I'll, I teach with my clients, and is that like what just happened here? We go deeper into it and explore it a little bit. But the point is that I could not have done that without having learned, without having the support of my coach and mentor. And everything that I'm talking about today, I learned as an adult who desperately wanted to get out of the cycle of being in unsatisfying, painful relationships. And I didn't know how. And that,
Well,
oops.
I don't want to break your thought. How do you move yourself back to that happy place when that happens?
Well, that day, and it doesn't always happen but that day it happened immediately, because it was so, in a way, absurd. It was so obvious that I was having a good time. I was happy. This thought came in out of nowhere and sucked me down. And as soon as I noticed it, and I recognized it as a mechanism inside of me, that it was this pattern that needed reinforcing. Again, I'm not going into that today, but our patterns need reinforcing, so they'll look for opportunities to trigger us. And I saw it. And that's why I started laughing. And it was liberating. I was free of it in that moment. It's not to say that those thoughts didn't come up again in the future, because we have to work at, this is where, then I'm not going to get into it today, brain plasticity and reinforcement, how we have to reinforce the beliefs that we want to have about ourselves. And when those get, bigger than the LA freeway in our mind of, unworthiness and not good enough and unlovable and all that. I mean, it is, it's like the LA freeway where, oh, I'm lovable, is like a footprint in the sand. It takes some time. So, but over time, those things can quiet down. Does that answer your question? Thank you. Thank you. So these beliefs are hard to discover and dismantle on our own. Yeah, like when I was crying, I think I said I had a habit of being melancholy, and I had my recipe for suffering was, not good enough, unlovable, can't have what I want. And that was going then. That's what sucked me down, were these beliefs about myself. And come back to the map that, in this line, that these beliefs aren't always easy to see on our own. And they're, like Linda said earlier, there's resistance that comes up. We don't want to see them. It can be difficult to see them, but we need to be able to see them to be able to shift them. And it takes support and someone to help you do it. The mind is very wily and it'll trick us. So yeah, what I was saying earlier, everything that I teach and I talk about, I learned as an adult. There's nothing special here. And let's see, right, I have some notes here, right? When I started doing this, I was an insecure mother. I was angry with my parents. I was, felt intimidated by colleagues. I was, I couldn't find a relationship where I felt supported, mutual love and support. I lived on a subsistence income. Dare I go on? Can anyone relate here? Yeah. So it can change. So if you want to be improving, having deeper connections, having more love and intimacy. In fact, that's the training that's the title of the training I'm offering in 2 weeks, gaining more love, intimacy, and connection. It really starts with your relationship with yourself. And I invite you to join me. And I'm going to, to get the support. This is what I've dedicated my life to, is supporting people to find deeper satisfaction, deeper connection, deeper sense of choice and satisfaction in their life. And it's really possible. So I'm going to drop the link to that in the chat. And I just want to say that I welcome input and feedback. In fact, part of the Q&A, if people don't have more questions, or I'd love to hear your takeaways and any aha moments, but I also want to know, like, what do what keeps you awake at night thinking about? I want to know that. So, Allie shakes her head because, I want to meet you where you're at. I want to offer, solutions to the challenges that you're having. And so I create this title, because we all want more connection, love, and intimacy, right? But I want to fine tune it to what you're needing. And so we can talk about that in a minute, but just some of the details. It's going to be 3 days, well, really 4 days, but 3 days of teaching, starting January 20th, for 1 hour a day at 9 a.m. Pacific. And so the 20th, 21st, 22nd, and then on Monday, January 23rd, I'm going to be offering just a Q&A session at 5 o'clock Pacific. It's all on that link I just sent. Oh, shoot. Thank you. If you can copy that, you know what, when I'm done, before we get off the call, I probably didn't publish it. I just have to click a button and it'll be available. Sorry about that. Thanks for clicking on it right away. Darn, one little thing. So, yeah, and that training will be going into, more depth than today. Facing, questions like, how is it that my life feels like it's out of control? How do I continue putting myself in the equation? How can I be more seen and heard in my relationships so that you can have a life filled with deeper love and connection, more satisfaction, and life becomes more joyful and fulfilling. Who doesn't want that? So, let's see, just seeing if I'm missing anything here. So before we open up the rest of the time for questions, again, I just want to thank you so much for showing up today. It's such an honor and pleasure to hold this space, to hold you in my heart, because I care so much about you. I care about your life and your happiness and I'm committed for you getting more of what you want in your life. So thank you again for showing up. And I'm going to turn off the recording.